Jake from Highsnobiety, and you're watching Real Talk. Today I'm sitting here with Charli XCX. Charli, hello.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty great.
Great.
So you just released 1999 with Troye Sivan. I read you met Troye at a house party you hosted.
Yes, correct. I had a house party at my place in LA, and it was at a point in time where we were throwing a lot of parties and we were just kind of leaving the doors open and like having whoever come through, and Troye and his boyfriend came to one and we just clicked immediately. Like, I really liked him, and he's such a kind, nice person, and we realized we had like a lot of mutual friends and we're working with a lot of the same people, so we sort of kept in touch and like promised that we would eventually work on a song together, and 1999 ended up being that song.
So aside from being born in the 90s, like me, I guess, is there anything in particular about the 90s that you felt inspired to craft an ode about it?
Well, I mean, I think it's such a rich era for, you know, cultural references, like the movies, the toys, the music, the fashion. I mean, I guess every era has its moments like that, but for me, I guess just because I was born in the 90s but wasn't a teenager in the 90s, I kind of always wanted to like really truly live it. So 1999 is kind of like a throwback jam, I suppose, to going back to that time.
And you're also on tour with Taylor Swift right now. And you've opened for big acts before, but I feel like, is it safe to say this is probably your biggest tour experience?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think in terms of like pop stars, Taylor is definitely like one of the biggest. And yeah, it's a very surreal experience, you know, to have been playing in stadiums for basically half the year. It's kind of wild, and it really does feel like, you know, people get me and like know my songs, and her audiences are very receptive, so it's been really fun, and it's cool to be on tour with Camila too, because we've known each other for a while and have like written together in the past, and I like her a lot, so it feels really good.
Nice. I was reading that you were making a differentiation between how, like, on this tour you're playing the hits versus like the shows you've been doing for Pop 2 or very sort of club gigs. So I was wondering if you could speak a bit about that transition.
Sure. I mean, I guess when I'm opening for somebody like Taylor, yeah, her audience are a lot younger and more sort of varied than mine. You know, there's kids who go with their parents, families, people my age. It's like really quite varied. So generally I play, yeah, like the radio songs of mine, and then I'll throw in like one or two kind of like weirder mixtape ones too. But when I do my own shows, especially the recent Pop 2 shows, which have been in support of the mixtape that I made of the same name, that's like completely different from the stadium show, just because, I mean, the venues are a lot smaller, the people are there to see me, and it's kind of, it feels like a house party or like a rave or something. It's like super sweaty, very intense. It's cool.
Nice. You got your start playing dirty raves, right?
Correct, yeah.
Because I read your parents took you to them?
Yeah, basically I was around 14 when I started making music, and I was putting it all on MySpace, and from the age of 15, 16, I started getting contacted by a few promoters who wanted me to come to East London and like play at their like raves and parties and stuff. And I was so excited, like, because I had never really partied in London. I come from Hertfordshire, which is just north of the city, and yeah, I guess it was like a very exciting, like, new world for me, I suppose. And the only reference point I had was like Skins, I guess. Like, I didn't really know much about like party culture or like the LGBTQ scene or like underground music or fashion or anything. So this was like a whole eye-opening experience for me, and I told my parents and they were like, great, but we're coming. I was like, okay, cool. So it was kind of me rebelling, but also like really not.
And obviously your parents were supportive of this whole time of your music career, if they're taking you to this rave.
Yeah, totally. I've been really lucky with that. They've been super supportive, and they've been really cool. It definitely was like a little bit surreal though to like see them in a rave, you know? Just like, I never really envisioned that would happen, you know?
Yeah, I bet. Was that weird for them that they talked about it with you?
You know what, we haven't really spoken about it. I think they were just really proud. So I think they were sort of less focused on like what was going on around them and more like focused on like, wow, like our kids performing, like, you know, I think that's probably where they were at.
And how is it now? I guess like you're on like the biggest tour in the world right now. I guess, are you surprised you would reach this level? Like, I
think they are, still like very proud of me, and I mean, myself, like I'm proud of myself. I think as I've like grown up in this industry, I've realized maybe I want something different than what I initially thought I wanted. So it's been interesting to like learn, you know, the different types of artists there are, and you know, the different type of artist I can become, and it's been really interesting. But they were definitely excited about me going on tour with Taylor. I bought them her album for Christmas, so yeah, they knew all the words.
Cute. Tell me a bit about your relationship with your fans, because I feel like just from browsing your social media, you seem way more engaged and really passionate with your fan base than a lot of other artists I could think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're really funny. Like, they make me laugh so much. They always are kind of like making like funny memes or like edits of photos of me, and I don't know, I just find it really funny. I also think they're really they think the same way as me. Like, we like a lot of the same music and the same production and the same fashion, and they're always kind of recommending me new things. Like, they put me on to Cupcake, who is someone I've done 2 collaborations with now, and somebody who I really like want to keep working with, and that was because a fan DM'd me on Twitter and was like, you have to check out Cupcake. And there's been like other things like that where they kind of like recommend me stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. So yeah, I think we have a pretty good relationship, and whenever I do a show that's my own show, it feels like really like intense, and it feels like, I don't know, like very special. It feels like we're all sort of like on the same kind of wavelength, feeling the same emotions, so it's pretty cool.
So you're somebody that takes time to look through your DMs, reads the comments?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm a DM deep diver for sure. I see a lot of them.
How do you get through them all? I imagine at this point you get quite a few.
Yeah, I do. There's some like really crazy group chats that I'm in, which have like 100 like other fans, which sometimes I'll just like jump in and like be like, hey, and then it goes like crazy, and then I'm like, I have to put my phone down, it's insane. But I try and read as much as possible.
I read an interview recently where you talked about, I think you said something to the effect of that you didn't get into music to be a role model. And I know you said your fan base isn't that like majority young, but I feel like you do have a lot of young fans. Do you feel like there is something of an interplay now for you where there's pressure on you to be a role model, or?
I mean, I think anyone in like a public position sort of immediately is assumed to be a role model for some people. I mean, people look up to other people sometimes. Like, I definitely think I admired certain artists when I was younger. But I think I've always been very open about like the mistakes that I've made, and have always really kind of stressed the fact that I'm not perfect and really don't care to be. And I think that my fans kind of like that about me. And if that is the aspect of me that they're taking as an influence, then that's cool. But I still don't have any desire to be, whatever, I don't know. I make too many mistakes to be a role model, I guess.
Or I imagine probably like, especially for American audiences, they're concerned about you singing about partying. You don't want to be.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I think I've definitely had like some complaints about like lyrical content, or like content that's been on my like video screens and stuff, but I don't really care. care. They can just listen to other music if they don't like it, you know?
So switching gears a bit, I feel like the narrative right now in your trajectory is very like, you're sort of at the vanguard of this movement of non-traditional album cycles. You've been releasing singles now for the past 2 years. And in my mind, I feel like that really started with the Vroom Vroom EP, was sort of where that took off. I feel like that's one of the most underrated pieces of music in recent memory. I'm still listening to it nonstop. I guess take me through how that came together, because that was also the beginning of your relationship with Sophie and A.G. Cook and BC Music.
Yeah, you know what? That was definitely the beginning of my relationship with Sophie. A.G. and I actually didn't meet for a while after that. Even though he has a production credit on one of the songs on that EP, we didn't really meet and work together. That was something that Sophie kind of sent to him and he did some stuff on. But how Sophie and I met was we were emailing. I somehow got Sophie's email, and at that point in time I was writing a lot in Sweden, and we were putting on these kind of writing camps, which weren't really camps. It was more just like our friends like kind of getting together in like a very like isolated house in like the countryside of Stockholm, just making music and kind of partying and having fun. And we'd done a couple of these, and I wanted to invite a few new people as well. So I invited Rostam, I invited Young Good from the Sad Boys, and I also managed to get Sophie's email, and I contacted her and was like, we're doing this thing, you should come. Like, we'd never met before. And she came, and I don't know, it was just amazing. She like brought this little suitcase with like flowers and a candle and her little box that she makes all of her sounds on. She just set up in this like old office which was downstairs, and like I spent every day that I was in that house, in that room, just making music with Sophie. I like didn't really see anyone else. I was just in there the whole time, and that's where we made that whole EP. We made, yeah, Vroom Vroom, Trophy, Secret and Paradise, all there, and it was just crazy. It was like I'd never heard music like that before. Like I'd never heard production like that, and I'd never made music myself that made me want to dance so much and want to party so much. So I knew that the relationship was really, really special, and it was one of those things where like it was definitely like really collaborative, but at the same time I just like loved every single thing Sophie did. Like I didn't have any, oh, it should be more like this, or you should change. I was just like, that's great, that's great, that's great. It was so incredible. And from then we kind of stayed in touch and kept making music, and then eventually Vroom Vroom came out. I can't remember when it came out. Maybe it was like a year after we made it. Maybe less, I can't really remember. But it was a very special trip.
I want to touch on the music video for Boys, because so much I feel like has been written about it. So how it's subversion of the male gaze. But was that something that you were focusing on when you wanted to make it?
Yeah, that was definitely the main point of the video. And when I was reaching out to all of the boys who were in it, I was very clear in explaining that to them. Like I didn't want to like trick them, you know, or anything like that, because I feel like that's kind of what happens to women sometimes, you know, they're like, oh, like just stand here in the shower, like, oh, you know. And so I was very explicit with all of the guys who were in that video. I was like, I want to make you into these like sexy, like male objects for us to look at. Like I want you to do all of the things that women are stereotypically asked to do in music videos, whether that's eating provocatively or washing a car in like a sexy way or like wrestling in a paddling pool. Like that's what you guys are gonna be doing. And they were all really into it. Like they were all totally open-minded, and they were like, yeah, this is like the perfect thing. Like this should have been done ages ago, let's do it. So it was really amazing. They were so up for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you were a kind of dessert, what would you be and why?
Interesting. I think I'd be a sorbet. probably like a blood orange one. That's actually just one of my favorite desserts. I don't know if that is actually like very reflective of my personality, but that's just like my go-to. Or like any chocolate thing.
Okay, so specific.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the most difficult part of your job right now? What's the easiest part?
The most difficult part is finding time to be creative on the road, because I feel really creative right now, but don't necessarily always have the time to record or, you know, put my ideas down. And the easiest part is partying, which I managed to do a lot of, and still call it work, so it's great.
What makes a great party in your mind?
Loads of really good friends, a great DJ, preferably my music being played, or Sophie's music being played.
The whole time?
Yeah.
Great. Do you have like a specific kind of songwriting process? Do you need to be like in a room with a certain thing?
No, I'm very spontaneous when it comes to writing. I really don't have a set way. I like being in a studio, but if I'm not, that's also cool. Like, I don't have a process. It's kind of messy, which is sort of, I guess, reflective of me, I guess. It's really just like wherever I am, whoever I'm with, if I'm inspired, doesn't matter what comes first. It's just kind of like, blah, and then it happens.
What's giving you life right now?
What's giving me life right now?
Not this moment, I guess, you know, in general.
Honestly, Ariana Grande. Like, I think she's a great pop star. I think she's like releasing great music, great videos. Just, yeah, she's giving me life. She's a really great pop star. I'm into her.
Once again, this was Real Talk with Highsnobiety. This was Charli XCX. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.